My name is Grace Marlowe, and the text that changed everything came at 1147 p.m. On a Thursday. It lit up my screen while I was finishing a quarterly report. The kind of late-night routine no one in my family ever understood. The notification read Family Group Chat Big Announcement from Michael. My thumb hovered before opening it. The kind of hesitation that comes when you already know something is about to sting. Jennifer and I are getting married June 10th. He'd typed, followed by 3 champagne emojis. Within seconds, hearts and congratulations stacked up from aunts, twos, and my mother's endless enthusiasm. So proud of you both. The joy was loud enough to feel staged. Like a celebration already rehearsed. I typed, congratulations, Michael. Really happy for you. And hit send. The bubbles appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Then came the private message. We need to talk about the wedding. Call me tomorrow. No smiley face. No, can't wait for you to be there. Just that one flat line. My stomach tightened. Quiet but sharp. I reread the message twice. Each word colder than the last. There was a small note card still on my desk from earlier that day. A reminder scribbled in ink. Trust your instincts. I slipped it into my drawer like a sealed warning. The phone buzzed again. Another flurry of group chat noise. Everyone drunk on digital celebration. I stared at the glowing screen and felt that familiar detachment settle in, the one that comes right before a family storm. Nothing good ever follows a message sent after 11. I muted the conversation, turned off the light, and lay awake counting the seconds between notifications, already knowing that whatever waited in tomorrow's call would be the real announcement. At exactly 8 a.m., my phone rang with the kind of precision that meant he hadn't slept. Michael never called this early. Mornings were for people with discipline, not for someone who lived off curated chaos. I answered with the calm I'd practiced for years. Hey, I said. Congratulations again. His voice came sharp, like he wanted to get through something unpleasant quickly. So, here's the thing. He began. And that phrase alone told me it would hurt. Jennifer and I have been talking about the wedding. He continued. And we're going for something very curated. Very intentional. It's all about the aesthetic we're building. I waited. Quiet enough to let him hang himself with his own words. We're keeping the guest list tight. Just people who really fit the vibe we want. The word vibe felt heavy. Hollow. A wall built out of filters and hashtags. Okay, I said slowly. And there was a pause. A breath that stretched too long before he exhaled. The thing is, he said, Jennifer's concerned about the photos. We're spending $15,000 on a photographer. Her dress is custom Vera Layton. And the venue's an estate in Charleston. Everything has to be perfect. I kept my tone even. Michael, what are you trying to say? He said it fast. Like ripping off a bandage. You're not invited. The air went thin. Brittle. To the wedding, he added. As if I might have misunderstood the cruelty. We just think it's better if you sit this one out. I asked. Why? He sighed. Jennifer says you'd ruin the photos. You know how you dress. Grace Target. Old Navy. Whatever's comfortable. It doesn't fit the aesthetic. The word repeated itself like a cracked record. The aesthetic. I said flatly. Yeah. He continued. Jennifer's friends are all in fashion. PR. People who really get style. It would just be awkward. You know, I see. My voice stayed steady, even as something cold folded inside me. He rushed in to fill the silence. Don't be dramatic. It's not personal. It's just, you're not really wedding material. No offense. Every syllable was offensive. But I let him keep talking until he felt safe again. Does Mom know? I asked. I'm telling everyone today, he said. They'll understand. It's my day. My choice. You're right, I said softly. It is your day. His relief came through the line like static. Great. Glad you're being mature about it. I knew you'd understand. We hung up. And I sat for a while staring at my coffee, realizing how little understanding had to do with any of it. The city outside was already awake. But in that moment, it felt like I was the only one who'd just found out what family really meant. By noon the next day, I was back at my office in Midtown, surrounded by glass walls and quiet money. Noelle, my operations manager, stepped in with a coffee and that look she got when she knew I was about to say something strange. I told her about the call. Every word. The part where my brother said I wasn't wedding material. She blinked once, set the cup down, and asked, "You're just going to let him talk to you like that," I said. "It's not worth correcting him. He doesn't know who he's talking to." Her brow lifted. "What do you mean?" I turned my monitor toward her. The headline still open from the morning's press release about Atlas Shield's acquisition. "We closed the deal last quarter," I said. "The total sale was $340 million. My post-tax share came to $120. She stared at the screen like it had burned her. "You never told them," I shook my head. "They think I still run tech support for small companies. That I make maybe $80,000 a year. It keeps the peace." Noelle let out a low breath. Half disbelief. Half admiration. "You're sitting on 9 figures. And they think you're broke. They don't ask," I said simply. "And I don't volunteer." She frowned. "Why would you hide something like that?" I looked at her, knowing she wouldn't fully understand until she'd been dismissed by people who claimed to love her. Because I wanted to see who stayed when they thought I had nothing worth taking. The words landed heavy in the air. The truth stripped of defense. Noelle said quietly, "That's cold." I smiled without warmth. "It's accurate." The office lights reflected off the window behind her, the skyline cutting clean lines through the glass. I'd spent years building this company, trading sleep for code, risk for equity, until silence became its own armor. Letting them think I was ordinary had been the easiest way to stay invisible. Invisibility had built my empire, and anonymity had kept it safe. Now, it was the reason my brother didn't want me in his wedding photos. 3 weeks before the wedding, I was finalizing logistics for a gala I hadn't planned to attend until the invitation arrived by coincidence. It was the National Tech Excellence Gala in New York. Scheduled for the same night Michael would be saying his vows in Charleston. Noelle scanned the embossed card on my desk. "That's the one where the mayor presents the award." "Right," I nodded. "Atlas Shield is being recognized for the acquisition. They asked me to give a short speech about women leading in cybersecurity." She smiled faintly. "So, while your brother's posing for his aesthetic photos, you'll be accepting an award from the mayor." "It's not intentional," I said, closing the folder in front of me. The timing just happened to align. Noelle arched a brow. "Sure. But if fate insists on symmetry, who are we to argue?" I laughed under my breath. "I'm not ruining his day. I'm attending mine." She tilted her head. "You're going to look incredible." I looked at the garment bag hanging by the window. Ellie Saab. Custom midnight silk. Hand embroidery, I said. The stylist called it understated power. Noelle's grin widened. "That's not understated. That's surgical." I didn't answer. The truth was, every detail had been chosen with precision hair. Jewelry. The quiet discipline of presentation. It wasn't vanity. It was fluency in the language Michael and Vanessa worshipped. "Do you ever think he'll realize what he lost when he uninvited you?" she asked. "He'll realize something," I said. "But probably not what matters most." The line hung there. Neither cruel nor forgiving. She reached for her phone, already scrolling through travel confirmations. So, New York on June 10th, she said. Black tie. Spotlight. Press. I nodded again. All of it. Outside the office window, Atlanta shimmered in late spring heat, the kind that made the air look expensive. I thought about the difference between showing up and being seen. For years I had chosen invisibility. Now it felt like visibility was simply coming to collect its debt. When Noelle left, the room was quiet except for the soft hum of the air system. The kind of silence that comes before a reversal you don't need to orchestrate. Only allow. The morning of June 10th broke clean and bright. The kind of sky photographers pray for. In New York, I was fastening the clasp of a diamond necklace when Noelle said, "You're trending already. The gala account posted your nomination lineup." I smiled without answering. The city outside glittered like it knew how to keep a secret. "Ready?" she asked. "Always," I said, though it wasn't for the reasons she thought. At the plaza, the room pulsed with the quiet hum of power executives, founders, journalists, the kind of people who measured time in valuations. When the mayor reached the podium, his voice carried over the chandeliers. "Tonight, we honor innovation, resilience, and the people who build the systems that protect us," he said before calling my name. Noelle leaned close. "That's you." I stood, the applause sharp and clean, and walked to the stage as cameras flared. "This award," the mayor said, handing me the crystal plaque, "recognizes leadership in cybersecurity and the future of digital trust." "Thank you," I said into the microphone, "for believing in quiet builders. We don't always seek the spotlight, but we make sure the lights stay on." Across the same hour in Charleston, Michael was giving his speech, a glass of champagne in hand. To love, to family, to creating something beautiful together, he said, voice full of practiced sincerity. Vanessa smiled for the cameras. The picture of curated happiness. At their table, Michael's best man, Tyler, scrolled through his feed and froze. "Dude," he whispered. "Isn't that your sister?" Michael blinked. What? Tyler turned the phone toward him. "She's on the gala page, standing next to the mayor." Michael frowned until the caption came into focus. Grace Marlowe, CTO of Atlas Shield Systems. Honored for $340 million acquisition. Holy! Tyler stopped himself, eyes widening. "Your sister's that Grace Marlowe." The sound around them dimmed. Michael's throat clicked as he read it again. "That can't be right," he muttered. But Tyler was already showing the others. "It's her. Same face. Same last name. Forbes just posted it too." Vanessa leaned over, her smile stiffening. "What are they talking about?" He handed her the phone, and the color drained from her face. "You told me she worked in tech support," she said. "You told me she couldn't afford a stylist," he whispered. "I didn't know. You uninvited a tech founder worth over $100 million, she hissed, voice breaking on the word uninvited. At the next table, one of her influencer friends stared at the photo. "You mean the Grace Marlowe who's on the fortune list? You said she couldn't dress." Whispers rippled across the reception, screens lighting up like a second spotlight. Vanessa's perfect aesthetic collapsed under the weight of irony. Michael's parents watched the chaos unfold, their faces caught between shock and shame. His father's voice came low and measured. "You said she didn't belong here," his mother whispered. "You said she'd ruin the photos." In New York, a photographer called my name again. I turned slightly toward the flash. "The award catching the light. You just crashed the internet," Noelle murmured beside me. "Seems unintentional," I said, even though both of us knew better. "You're all over Forbes, Bloomberg, Tech Insider," She showed me her phone. The headlines multiplied like sparks. Back in Charleston, Michael's phone buzzed with every alert. Guests were whispering, posting, tagging him in stories, comparing my photos with his wedding theme. Someone muttered, "Well, that's one way to lose a family PR war." Vanessa pressed her palms to her face. This can't be happening. By the time dessert was served at the gala, I was sitting beside a venture capitalist who asked, "So, does your family know what you've built?" I smiled. "They will. Across states." Michael's reception had turned into damage control. "Call her," Vanessa demanded. "Fix it. Say she's coming for brunch tomorrow." He dialed again. But my phone was silent inside a silver clutch halfway across Manhattan. When the final flash went off and the applause swelled once more, I knew the story had already written itself. While Michael's wedding aimed for perfect optics, mine had found them. By the time I left the plaza, my phone was vibrating nonstop inside my clutch. When I finally unlocked it, 43 missed calls lit the screen. Most of them from Charleston. Noelle glanced over my shoulder and said, "You're all over Twitter. Number Grace Marlowe, number wedding photos. They're everywhere." I scrolled once, twice, then stopped on a post that paired a picture of me with one from the wedding. Successful woman uninvited from her brother's ceremony for not fitting the aesthetic. The caption read, Noelle laughed softly. "The internet loves symmetry." I opened the family group chat. My mother had written, "Call me right now." My father added, "We need to talk immediately." Michael's messages stacked underneath, "Why didn't you tell us then? Everyone knows who you are." Then, "This is humiliating." The tone shifted midstream to, "Please call me." "I'm sorry." "Jennifer's crying. Please answer." I stared at the screen until the notifications blurred together. The noise of panic translated into text. "Are you going to respond?" Noelle asked. "Not tonight," I said. "Tonight belongs to him." Across social media, the narrative kept building. Articles appeared before midnight, from overlooked sister to tech powerhouse. The wedding that misjudged its guest list. Vanessa's brand accounts were flooded with comments calling her shallow, performative, tone-deaf. Influencer sponsors began issuing statements about reevaluating partnerships. Michael's PR agency locked its profiles by morning. Noelle watched the headlines scroll and whispered, "You didn't post a single thing. And somehow you still broke the story." I set the phone down. I didn't need to. Everyone else already had the pictures. The night quieted around us, the city finally cooling after a day that had burned too bright. I poured a glass of water and said, "Funny how silence travels faster than sound." Noelle smiled, half in awe, half in disbelief. "You just let it happen." I nodded once. "Exactly. I just let it happen." Michael showed up the next evening at 7 sharp. His reflection caught in the elevator glass before he even stepped inside. I opened the door before he could knock. "Hey," he said quietly. I answered with the same calm I'd used when he disinvited me. "Hey." For a long second, neither of us moved. Finally, he said, "You look different." I smiled faintly. "I look the same. You're just seeing me for the first time." He followed me into the living room and sat down on the edge of the sofa like a guest waiting for permission to speak. "Grace, I'm sorry," he said. "I was an idiot. I let Vanessa dictate how things should look. And I didn't think about how it would make you feel." I leaned back. "You thought about how it would make you look." He winced. "That too," he admitted. "But I swear I didn't know who you really were. I mean, all those articles. The money. The company you never told us." I said. "You never asked?" He shook his head. "That's not fair," I answered. "It's precise." He exhaled, hands tightening together. "When I saw those photos of you with the mayor, I felt sick. Not because of what you have, but because I realized how small I'd been. I uninvited my own sister from my wedding to protect an image that doesn't even exist anymore. I looked at him carefully. You didn't protect an image. You exposed one. He stared at the floor. You knew this would happen. Didn't you? You knew the timing. The press. The way it would spread. I hesitated. Then said, I knew there was a chance it would reach you. I didn't know how fast. He nodded slowly. So it wasn't revenge. No. I said. It was consequence. He rubbed his face. The sound rough against the quiet. Vanessa wants to meet you. He said. She's sorry. Her sponsors are dropping her. And she says she deserves the backlash. I asked, is she sorry for what she did or for what she lost? He didn't answer right away. Probably both. He admitted. And you? He looked up. I miss you. I miss having a sister. I just want to start over. I studied him for a moment. You can, I said. But only if you stop treating people as accessories. That includes me. He nodded. I can do that. We sat there with the city spreading out behind the glass. The noise muffled but present. You built something incredible, he said finally. I'm proud of you. I didn't build it for pride. I replied. I built it because no one believed I could. He smiled faintly. You proved them wrong. I didn't need to. I said. They proved themselves. He stood then, looking suddenly older. So what happens now? I walked him to the door. Now you call me when you don't need anything. That's where we start. He nodded. The words catching somewhere between guilt and relief. You looked incredible that night, he said softly. Way better than anyone at my wedding. Including me. I smiled. I know. The elevator doors closed behind him, sealing the conversation like a contract neither of us could undo. 6 months later, the noise had settled into something quieter, like a story people only whispered about now. Vanessa sent a handwritten letter that began with, I was wrong about everything, and ended with, thank you for not returning cruelty with cruelty. Michael called once a week, no longer out of guilt but out of habit. And when he asked how I was, I believed he meant it. One evening, he said, I keep that photo of you with the mayor in my office. It reminds me not to mistake simplicity for insignificance. I told him, good. Keep it there. After we hung up, I opened the same notebook that had once held a single reminder, trust your instincts, and wrote a new one beneath it, stay quiet. Stay clear. The skyline beyond my window shimmered. Steady and self-contained. I didn't need forgiveness or applause. I had proof. Thank you for staying with me until the end of this story. If it reminded you to protect your peace or to trust your quiet strength, I hope you carry that feeling forward. Stories like this belong to all of us who've learned to stand still when the noise gets loud. Subscribe. Stay. And keep your calm power close.